Hey there, folks. Welcome to a new year with me, the indefatigable Goblin King. I'm still here, still making these videos. I've even started on other platforms. Hell, I've even spread my vile presence to other social media sites as well. I'm like a fungus. So, to start off the new year, I've dusted off an oldie, a classic, one of my all-time favorite movies. Something that I had trouble finding on Blu-ray for years, for under $100, that is. That's the one thing I'll give Disney credit for. They brought back this Blu-ray at an actual affordable price, and not leaving it at a rarity that makes scalper types want to soak their panties, and charge me $100 for a Blu-ray. That movie is Willow. Yes, one of the few fantasy films pre-Lord of the Rings that's actually halfway worth a damn, and actually pretty good. Nevertheless, don't just take my word for it, get a load of this synopsis. Willow follows the adventures of Warwick Davis, otherwise known as Willow. He plays a Nelwyn, basically a halfling, or a little person, who finds a human baby floating down the river near his village. Where ever heard this opening before?
Let my people go!
Quiet, you. This isn't about you. Nah. This baby is a little girl by the name of Elora Danon.
Like a Tribe Called Quest, you say the whole thing.
She's supposed to save the world. The how is unclear. However, the evil queen Bavmorda is hot on her trail. Well, not so much the evil queen herself. She's a lazy bitch that just wants to harp on her minions about how terrible they are, being unable to find one small baby in a vast, vast world. She's supposedly a sorceress. Don't know why she can't suss out this information. One of said minions is her own daughter, Sorcery, and she's pretty damn hot, but we'll get back to that in a moment. For now, our titular character. Once the Nelwyns discover that the evil queen's after the baby, Willow gets elected to go on a quest to find a human to leave the baby with. Humans are called Daikini in this world. Just a fun fact. While on their quest, the Nelwyns come across Mad Mardigan, a self-proclaimed master swordsman, played by a very young and less bloated Val Kilmer. Seriously, what the fuck happened to him? It's like after Batman Forever he just gave up on life. I would too after seeing Jim Carrey dancing around in skin-tight body stocking.
Oh my god!
Mad Mardigan is in a crow's cage, one of those cages they'd hang people in to die of exposure, thirst, hunger, whatever. He offers to take care of the baby. Most of the other Nelwyns agree, except Willow, who actually gives a shit about the baby and rightfully thinks a random dude in a crow's cage probably isn't father material. After passing an army on their way to a battle declines to take in the infant, because fucking duh, Willow finally relents and gives the baby to Mad Mardigan because he just wants to get back home to his tiny family. See what I did there? After changing his mind again and deciding to go back and make sure the baby is okay, he sees a brownie on a bird with Elora Danon clutched in its claws. A brownie is a fairy creature even tinier than a Nelwyn, at only 9 inches tall. Seriously, it's always been my dream to be that small. Hear me out and think about it for just a second. For real. Just getting out of bed every day would be a fucking adventure all its own. Yeah. After chasing the brownie down and getting caught by the 50 billion other brownies, Willow meets up with the fairy queen who gives him a wand, tells him to protect the baby, and directs him to a sorceress, Roselle. En route to said sorceress, Willow runs into Mad Mardigan again and the evil queen's minions. Through a fun action scene, they escape and get to the place where the sorceress is, and Mad Mardigan wanders off. Willow finds Roselle, who's been trapped in the body of an animal by the evil queen for years. He takes her to Elora Danon, and they're captured along with Mad Mardigan by the queen's minions. They're taken to a camp where the brownies are actually helpful and allow them to escape the cage they're in and retrieve the baby. Unfortunately, Mad Mardigan accidentally gives them up to Sorcery, and they wind up having to make another daring escape. Over the course of their escape, they wind up taking Sorcery hostage in order to get away cleanly. During their time together, she seems to be developing feelings for Mad Mardigan. She then escapes capture herself, mostly due to Mad Mardigan seeming to return her feelings. It's a whole thing. They make their way to the supposed safety of the castle Tirasleen, with the queen's army hot on their heels. Unfortunately, Tirasleen isn't as safe as advertised, as all the inhabitants have been turned into stone by the evil queen. She does a lot of shit, huh? And is now a dwelling place for trolls. The party gets the gates of the castle shut just as the queen's army reaches it. While they're busy trying to breach the place, Mad Mardigan runs around setting traps and getting himself decked out with armor and weaponry. Seriously, this dude never has his own sword through the entire film. He's constantly having to find new swords. So while Madmartigan is dealing with the human invaders, Willow is stuck trying to deal with these annoying trolls that want to eat him or the baby or something. It's never really clear. He accidentally turns one into a two-headed dragon thing, which both helps and hinders the party in defending themselves from the invaders. Meanwhile, Willow's still having to protect LOTR from the trolls and humans. When Madmartigan gets stuck dealing with the dragon thing, the Queen's general sneaks in, handily deals with Willow, and snatches the baby and takes her to the evil Queen. During this time, Sorcery has apparently decided that she loves Madmartigan and his awesome warrior skills, enough that she's going to side with them against her own mother. Not judging, her mom's an evil bitch, but still. At this point, the other army I mentioned earlier tracks down Willow and them and decides they're going to help them storm the Queen's castle and get the baby back. Yes, there is context here that I skipped for time reasons. This one's already running long because I'm giving this kind of review instead of my usual ones. So they all get to the Queen's castle where the Queen turns everyone except Willow and Roselle into pigs. She makes a special point of targeting her daughter and Madmartigan. Gee, I wonder why ever that could be. Willow protects himself with magic and finally manages to turn Roselle back into her human form, who then proceeds to turn the pigs back into people. Once everyone is back to normal, Willow comes up with a way to get the army into the castle while the Queen is distracted, trying to kill LOTR in an overly complicated fashion. Seriously, it literally takes all night, and when you see her again, she looks rough. Also, apparently she's never ever read the Evil Overlord list, because she'd know that overly complicated fashions of killing never end well. Now, I'm going to gloss over the end, both for time and spoiler avoidance. There's some serious shit I've glossed over already. For real, this synopsis doesn't do this movie justice. There's some really good storytelling in here. The film was directed by Ron Howard and written and co-produced by George Lucas himself. We all know that Lucas is actually pretty damn good at world building. So there's a lot of nuance to this world that you don't necessarily get just from the movie. There's also a sequel in the form of a trilogy of books that were co-written by Lucas as well. They're really good and actually add quite a bit of context to the film, as far as how the world works, the different races and all that. It always kind of upset me, because, I want to know more about this world, and I'd love to see it in film form. And no, I'm not mentioning that series or sequel or whatever the hell it is. I have no hope for that thing. Especially not after Amazon's bullshit. Really, what the film does is give you a snapshot of the richness of this world, and that's really what I love about it. Is that the world, while being a fantasy world with all sorts of creatures like brownies and trolls and shit, it feels like it could be real. One of the examples of this, of course, is that, rather than being referred to as humans, people like us are called Daikini. Why? Not sure, but that's what they are, and it adds richness to this world. There's even a derogatory word for no-wins, Peck. So, much like Star Wars, the world itself feels alive and lived in. Something that I've noticed, again, Lucas is very good at doing. Warwick Davis is someone that I've loved for decades, since I saw this movie the first time. I'm sitting in the theater watching episode 1, and was immediately able to pick out Warwick Davis in that pod racer crowd. Easily able to pick him out of Harry Potter, too. Like, if I had to have a little person friend, I'd pick Warwick Davis. Well, him or Brad Williams. Brad Williams would be fun. My other favorites to this day remain the two brownies that accompany Willow on his journey, Rule and Frangine. For whatever reason, they have bad French accents and are a great comic relief. They could be the reason I have that weird fantasy of being like 6 inches tall. Yes, I admit it's weird. There are definitely places within the film that the effects can look very dated. Mostly when it comes to showing Rule and Frangine with any of the other actors. Most of the other shit, including the few stop-motion things that are in the film, don't really take me out of it at all. Probably because I grew up with that shit, though, I'd imagine. For younger people, if you can get beyond some of the more dated-looking visual effects, the film is definitely well worth it. Overall, the storytelling is what it's really about. This movie is wonderful for that. You have George Lucas and his amazing ability to make even a fantastical setting feel real and lived in, like it's existed forever. Again, Ron Howard did the directing for this and did a masterful job, in my opinion. The set pieces are beautiful. Even the ones that aren't supposed to be traditionally beautiful are beautiful because of the level of detail that's put into them. Especially like the Nelwyn village and its surroundings. It's utterly gorgeous. I'll still never understand how they managed to get so many little people in one place. They didn't have the visual effects of Lord of the Rings, so they had to get legit little people, an entire village of them. I think they said 250 in the behind-the-scenes stuff. 250 little people. Blows my mind. So, if you're into fantasy, magic, monsters, swords, all that shit, then this is a movie that you absolutely want to watch. However, this video ran a little long, so I think I'm going to cut it off here. Let me know what you thought of Willow in the comment section down below. While you're down there, show me your disappearing pig trick. I'll see you all tomorrow for my anime review. Lates.